Beautiful Maine. Many of you have probably had Allagash White. That's pretty popular, and you have it here pretty often. But they do a full gamut of things: stout, sours, all kinds of stuff. And we're going to try some of those things today. We have Liz with us from Allagash, and she will walk us through the process and everything that we need to know about it. And without further ado, I give you Liz.
Hello. Wow. Okay. I haven't spoken into a microphone for a long time. My name is Liz. I work for Allagash Brewing Company. I am their territory sales manager for down here. So I cover Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and Long Island. Okay. A little bit about my history before we dive into the brewery's history. I used to work for the beer distributor that distributed Allagash. I've been in the beer industry in New York for over 20 years. Wow. So I'm a beer geek, I'm a certified Cicerone, you know. I can answer your questions that you have about the beer industry, is what I'm trying to say. So let's talk about Allagash. Allagash Brewing Company was founded in 1995, so we're about to have our 30-year anniversary next year, which I know, it's actually, it's amazing to be a brewery that exists for 30 years, I think, in this beer industry right now. I think that's like a really big deal. Rob Todd is our founder. It was just him in 1995, one-man show. It has obviously evolved away from just Rob. We have an amazing head brewer, Jason, who handles a lot of our barrel-aged and wild beer program, which we'll taste the list tonight. But basically back in 1995, in the United States, next to nobody was doing anything Belgian-inspired at all. So that was kind of what intrigued Rob to kind of dive into this style of producing beers. The really rich and distinguished brewing tradition is what drew him to this style. Also the fact that Belgian beers are really fun and experimental. I mean, I don't know if you guys know anything about the Reinheitsgebot, which is the German purity law. Basically in Germany, there was a tax law that prevented all brewers there from using anything but pure ingredients, water, yeast, hops, and malt. So very much the antithesis of that is the Belgians, and they were throwing pretty much anything in their beer, from coriander, which is a very common spice in Belgian beers, to fruit, to oak chips, to all kinds of different really wild and experimental things. So that's kind of where we started. We've evolved very far from that. As Mike said, white is kind of our bread and butter. It's our flagship beer. It is the most medaled beer, the most medaled wheat beer in the world. So we've officially won the most medals for that beer. So if you're looking to try a wheat beer, it's Allagash White for sure. I think we're going to be passing that around first. Thank you. Basically, we continue to hold ourselves to a very high standard in terms of brewing beer that we do. We lean very hard into the Belgians, but we also right now have a full barrel-aged program and a wild program. And we're still coming up with a lot of ingenuitive beers. So next year, we will also have a brand new lager, an APIPA, and we're doing a hot water as well. So we ride that line between classic traditional stuff and sort of new experimental wild beers. Check it out. So Allagash won its first gold medal at the GABF, the Great American Beer Awards, in 1998. We now are up to 11 gold medals on that beer. Yep. And 1998 was only 3 years after Rob brewed the initial version of the matchup. So 3 years after that, we won a gold medal right away, which is pretty large. What else can I say? We are being featured in a lot of really cool magazines, Gourmet, One Out of Sea, Men's Journal, GQ. Rob Todd actually has a James Beard Award himself, which is pretty rare. Does everybody have the white? I want to say it's close to 150 people. It's not a lot. Allagash, by the beer standards, the beer industry standards, is still a relatively small brewery. We brew over 50,000 batches of beer, which makes us in the top 50, but we're only distributed in 19 states. and Washington, D.C. So our footprint is still very small, and that's, again, kind of part of our ethos, is doing something really well, right, and not trying to overextend ourselves at all. So the white we're trying now is actually from draft pour, from the tap. But I did really want to mention, I guess I should go into like the statistics and how it's earned everything before I talk about this. So this is our award-winning Belgian style beer. So we call it Belgian style because we are very particular about being very respectful of the Belgian tradition. We're going to try one of our cool ship series. That is essentially a lambic, so it's a Belgian style lambic, but we don't call our beers that, we call them cool ships. So everything we do is kind of just a nod to the Belgian tradition. This beer has 3 different types of malt in it. It has oat, it has malted wheat, and it has raw. 60% of the grain bill in this beer of the raw wheat is actually produced in Maine, and we use Maine maltsters, and we try to source as much grain as we can from the state of Maine. I think this year it's up to like over 2 billion pounds of grain that we're gonna have sourced from local maltsters, which I think is really cool. So the combination of those things, the oats, the malted wheat, and the raw wheat, are what contribute to the beer's sort of hazy appearance. It's kind of all that residual, I don't know what you want to call it, from the malt kind of suspended and sitting in the beer. And that was going to be my point about white package as well. So we're drinking this on draft right now, and we actually recommend when we deliver the kegs to bars that they store the kegs upside down, so that all the residual sediment in the bottom can be flipped over when they're ready to pour the beer. So it maintains that haze to the package. If you guys are drinking, sorry? You're fine. To the package notes, if you're drinking a can or a 12-ounce bottle of white, basically there are like instructions on the actual can or bottle, and it's to pour out half your white, and then to take the package and swirl it around to kind of browse the residual yeast in there, and then pour it into your glass.
Around here, first we started to pick up around here.
Yeah.
Around the bartending, maybe like the Shoppe bottles that the Belgian style is really good way to roll the bottle in front of the customer.
Correct.
As part of the show.
Correct. Yes, you can also roll the bottle on the. Yep, it's very much a part of that. Yes.
Wow. Can I ask you again?
Yeah, please.
So what makes this Belgian style? Is it just because we added coriander to it, or?
No, it is the yeast. It is definitively yeast is what makes this beer. All the sort of fruity floral notes are actually coming from the yeast that is used to ferment this beer. The addition of the spice sort of boosts that and balances out the yeast, but it's predominantly yeast. Of course, and I think I'm not supposed to tell you the secret ingredient, but I'll tell it to you because it's not really that secret. In addition to the coriander and the orange peel, which is very common for Belgian beer, most of them have those spices added, we use black pepper in ours. So I tell people commonly, like, this beer tasted against other larger macro beers, which I will not name. Side-by-side tasting of these things, your socks will be blown off when you taste this next to any other macro-produced beer. They're very different. They're very, very different. And I say, if you blindfold me, I can tell you this is an Allagash way because of that pepper addition that really, really amplifies that spicy quality in the yeast. It's also 5.2%. It's relatively balanced and it's really dry, so it's ideal to drink with pretty much any type of cuisine.
This is obviously like, well, Spain, you do like a collection.
Correct.
Do you do any variations of it at all, or it's always just straight on?
We are constantly experimenting on this beer in our lab up at the brewery. So none of it ever gets released, but we are constantly, we have like a world-class like biologist, and we have a sensory panel. We do a ton of things, so many things to make sure this beer gets to you guys as fresh and as high as quality as it can be. The most recent thing we did with this was we fermented this beer with lager yeast, just to see what would happen. And it was horrible. It didn't taste good at all. Like, so we're constantly doing like weird things like that. No, as far as I know, no beer has been a version of this. Like for instance, we're gonna taste Ski House next, which is our imperial wheat beer, our seasonal for the winter. That's a completely different grain bill from the white, it's completely different spicing, it's completely different hops. It's not just like a version of
You don't have like blueberry white
It's very rare we will, I mean, I think Rob would say this beer is pretty much perfect. I don't think, you know, he has any dreams of messing around with this for actual production. I don't think that would happen. It's really funny, Rob obviously has been drinking his own beers for 30 years at this point, and no matter what is in front of him, he can turn around and always guarantee that he's going to be drinking the white. He'll always drink it. This is baby work.
This is called Ski House Winter White. It's Imperial at 7.5. Ski House. Ooh, that's so cool.
Confirmed.
I don't have one. That is nice.
Ginger. But it's organic, fresh ginger. Sourced from Maine, of course. So this is our Ski House. It is a 7.5% winter warmer. It is a high ABV Belgian white ale. As I was saying, it is not a version of the white. It is a completely different beer. Completely different grain bill, hops, spices, etc. The only commonality in this with the white is that it shares the same yeast strain, so you're getting all those sort of spicy floral Belgian notes from the yeast. Water's from Maine. From Savaga? Savaga. The lake. Yeah, from the lake. So this has coriander, orange peel, and as I said, mango and organic ginger. I love ginger. I don't know, I think it's just like an appropriate amount of ginger. Anything you say in your specification. For up until this year, so again we're about to be 30, and up until this year we didn't have a full rotation of seasonal beers. So at the end of this year,
I know, it would be nice if you can bring it down to the kids. We'd be like, it's not there.
So this is our winter beer, a corn lager, a white lager for the summer, and then we have an Abbey dark ale called Allagash for the fall. And those are the tables. Questions, comments on this beer?
It's very nice.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. No, when I
What would you guys, I have a question for you. What would you guys pair this beer with food-wise? Oh, I like that. I like that. Sushi is fantastic. Yeah. With the ginger. With the ginger. I agree. Oh, yeah. That sounds... Sauteed fish. Okay, that sounds good. Again, ginger. I can learn more about that. The sweetness in the sauce would balance out the spice. Batch-wise, yeah, I mean, this is a very small percent of like our overall production, but we do a couple, runs. I would say it was about 4 or 5 batches of this. It lasts from November to March. So we do big runs. We have 3 rotating seasons. So they're like 4 months long. Yes, Surf House. What's Surf House? Surf House, Haunted House, Ski House. It is like an adjunct online novel. It's great. It's really great. Yep, corn. There's corn in it, of course. Bullshit for sorghum. Oh boy, this is I'm really busting out the best. Am I getting this anywhere? Yeah, that's what we're at. This is the rarest beer we make. It takes a minimum of 3 years to produce this beer. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Lambic production process. I'm about to explain that. He's stealing my thunder. You're stealing my thunder over there. He's telling you exactly what I'm about to say. So the beer you guys are tasting right now is called Shoppe Sorghum. It is a barrel-aged blend of spontaneously fermented beer. So basically what that means is there's Pilsner malt, raw wheat, and aged hops. And that beer is brewed and cooled overnight in a coolship. A coolship is essentially a large metal giant tray the size of like a small little hut house. And the beer hangs out in this open tray overnight. And what that allows is for all like the microflora and the random things kind of floating around in the air to inoculate the liquid in the beer. After that, the beer is then transported into French oak barrels and sits in these barrels and then re-ferments again. And then what this beer is a 1, 2, and 3-year-old blend of the different batches of beer all blended back together. So again, it's a really special beer. It's a wild beer. It's the flavor you end up getting from it is something you can't control. It's just whatever happens, you know, whatever the bacteria is speaking to in the beer. Basically, yeah, it is sour. Yes, you should get flavor notes of apricot, lemon zest, and candied fruit. I don't think this beer is that funky, but I think to a lot of people it might seem very funky. Thank you. And then it's tart and has a dry finish, and it finishes it as a clean for funky wild. This beer is, if you have it in package, if you have it in 375 milliliters from us, it's designed to lay down and kind of sat on for up to 4 years.
Arrow Super. This is like the coldest beer you might have ever had.
I think this is the Lambic.
Are we drinking Lambic right now? There are cobwebs in there. There's a stained glass window. It's very like reminiscent of like a church house. All the cool ship beers. All the cool ship beers go through that cooling process in the same space, which is completely separate from the rest of our facility and everything else that we do. You have to even have wild beers. This beer is also extremely unique because we have our own strain of Brettanomyces. So Allagash has a proprietary strain of Brettanomyces. Again, I would say I've had a lot of Allagash beers. I've had a lot of sour Lambic beers. If blindfolded me, I could tell you which one is the Allagash. Allagash has a bright sort of acidity, tropical. It's very different from a lot of other sour Brett strains, which are more like dirty and funky and smelly and blue cheesy and horse funky, you know, all the words they say about this. This is brighter. Correct. Yeah, cheesy, correct.
Tastes more like the other one.
A little bit.
That second part.
It's so good. This beer is so good. Correct. So we do a whole series of cool ship beers that are blended with fruits and vegetables. We have a bunch of them that are blended with a lot of the ones we do are honeyberries, raspberries, and strawberries. Like that's like a common like blend of fruit for us. We do one with pumpkins called Cool Ship, which is really great. It turns out like sort of orange. Really, we used to do a lot of experimentation with the Cool Ship, but it takes a lot of time and effort to brew on that. I think they pulled back a little bit from that, but we have years dating back to, I mean, the ones the brewery has here, you know, years old, 20 years old, they're all there. And we've made some really awesome beers, and we've dropped off some really awesome beers. Little Brett was my favorite Allagash beer. It was a 4%, basically just golden ale, brewed entirely with Brettanomyces. So typically when you're brewing a wild beer, you're still using a brewer's yeast strain, and then you're cutting that with Brettanomyces. I was telling you, Allagash had a beer called Little Brett, and it was 100% brewed with Brett and mosaic hops, which are sort of blueberry, and it was just like 4%, super light, flirty, fun, like kind of funky. It was good. Sorry.
I forgot. This is more like lactose feels, right?
So, yes. Lactobacillus is a type of yeast strain. Lactic acid is something very different. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, very cool. Okay, I see that. Yeah, I can see that. So it's entirely based on the Brett strain for sure. And I think a lot of sours here in the States are brewed with a sour mash is what it's called. And basically to attain a sour mash or to get a beer sour, you're doing it a quick way, is you're taking a handful of grain, you're pouring it into the wort, and then you're inoculating it with the basically bacteria that's just in the malts, and then you're cutting it off where you want it to be sour. It's a very like one-dimensional sour. It's not a duplicate at all for anything like barrel aged or red. We're going to do that to Little Sal. Okay, sorry. Little Sal.
We got the fancy beers this meeting. Huh? So we got the fancy beers this meeting. This is little salads that are sour with green blueberries.
Oh, that one was very funny. That's super funny. It's not from peanut butter. It's private. No, this that beer went up to $100. And it's sort of like either really wrong with the Allagash white or it's not Allagash white. It's so like.
Maybe that's what's from it. I've never heard
Yeah.
Okay, little Sal.
Thank you.
The beer that you guys are drinking right now is called Little Sal. It is a sour ale aged with blueberries. So this is actually a good sample. This was completely experimental with the beer that we decided to do. A blueberry farmer approached us and asked us to use his blueberries in a beer, so we had yet to do that before.
It's amazing.
So this beer is a sour red ale that's been barrel aged, and we added wild bush blueberries to it. There are very few things. There are very few things that are synonymous with me, but I would argue that blueberries are number one on that list. So the fruit is entirely sourced from a tiny farm in Windham, Maine. This is a 6% sour with blueberries. It's good for up to 4 years.
I like the pink beer. Yes. Got it. Well, that is where the name comes from.
What?
Look, blueberries for Sal, because you got a young child and named Picky Blueberries. This has got blueberries in it. As soon as you said that, it reminded me of
Richard Palm.
Huh?
Richard Palm.
Right here.
I saw you walk up with it, and then all of a sudden when you came back, you didn't have it.
No, I put it in my pocket.
So yes, I agree with that. That's what we were talking about. A little bit. Just,
I like this one red.
it's like right flavor there.
Fucking Magnite. Yes.
Okay.
That's funny. It's got blueberries in it. Yeah. The fruit is called blueberries for Sal. It's about a child.
Have any of you guys ever been
Oh, that's fun.
before?
And then those blueberries make beer.
Did you go to Allagash? Okay. So here's my question. Yeah. So here's my question too. Well, in addition to these really awesome novel keychains that I have up here for everybody, I will also leave some of my cards. And I highly recommend that you reach out to me if you are ever up there in the great state of Maine, vacation land. To hit me up because we do really like to roll out the red carpet, as I like to say, and treat people very well when they come to the brewery. We like to give you a little slice of what we're all about. Portland, Maine is where the brewery is.
Still have that very low that goes to Newfoundland or Nova Scotia.
I'm sorry. I'm kidding.
Nova Scotia.
I have never done that, but I'm 1,000% sure. You did? Okay, very cool.
We drove up to Florida.
And then took a ferry.
Car ferry.
Oh, alright. I like that a lot. I like that. I would also like to go to this thing. Yeah, it's a children's book. This woman very astutely pointed out that it is named after a children's book. I'm sorry? It's not. So I have been visiting Maine since 2010, so for a very long time, and it's been really fun to kind of see how Allagash has evolved. Every time I'm out there, it was every couple months at one point, they were knocking something down, rebuilding something, adding a whole other structure. It is a massive facility at this point. It's really cool. There's a ton more to do. There's like the upfront tour, which I'm sure like everybody's always done the brewers tour, and that's kind of up front now. We do that behind the scenes thing, but then there's a whole other separate building in the back called the cellars, and that's where the original tours ended up. But this is like a whole. So this is like a whole experience that you can book just through them, where they do all the sours and barrel aged stuff, pairing it with cheese and chocolate, walking everything like correct. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there's a truck that does the lobster rolls. Like it's a really fun thing. Like we just built like children's playgrounds, so like people can bring their kids and like kids sometimes. It's a great place to hang out. Right, an industrial way. Yeah, it's like the incubator for breweries in Maine. Yeah, I think there are still 4 there. I want to say there are still. They've rotated out, but there are still at least 4 other ones in that just little pocket. Yeah, for sure. Yep. There was also a distillery there at one point, but they've gone to grow, and now they're in Freeport, and they're also great. Yeah. Ooh, that is a good question. I've been as far north as Bangor, or is it India in reference to Bangor? Do you know? So it's an extra like 2 hours, I think. After being in Maine for like 2 hours. It's still a lot further. It's worth it. It's beautiful. Please do. Okay, North Sky is the last beer that we are going to be using. And this is Flight of Allagash beers. This is basically a reworked and rebranded Allagash Black. I don't know if you guys ever remember seeing Allagash Black. It's basically the same beer. So this is a Belgian style stout. It's coming in at 7.5%. It's basically brewed to merge sort of the lightness and darkness that you can get in a stout. It's supposed to be a little bit lighter in body, but have all those malty, chocolatey coffee notes that you can find in a stout. It uses chocolate malt, roasted barley, and midnight wheat to get the color that you're looking at. We do a house yeast, and it's good for up to a year. So 7.5 is like relatively high for us. I feel like we try to keep our ABVs sort of around the 6%. What do we think of this guy? do you think of this beer? I love that. What do we? But yeah, I was hearing some mumbling reading for this beer. This is a beer reference. I was saying earlier, it's a rebranded version of Allagash. I don't know if you remember Allagash Black, but that's what this beer is. It's a rebranded version. Nope. They're all very designed to be designed to have like the more fine bubble carbonation, like champagne style carbonation, and that always correct. The only thing we've now changed yeast-wise is yeast for our waters. We're using a lager yeast strain, obviously, for us, an English-style lager yeast strain for our waters. But everything else,
I like
all our
stouts,
beers are.
so I would say my judgment would be biased.
That's what gives it its thing, you know. That's what gives it its Allagash flavor. Yes, exactly. And that's why I say like most of our beers really well paired with food. I think Allagash actually had a cookbook out. I want to say years ago we had a cookbook out, and we had recipes paired with these beers, but yeah. All food friendly, all ultra dry, low tense bubble carbonation that further scrubs your palate, so you want to go in again for another sip. Now we're all done. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, but I'm very happy to speak to it again. So launching next year, we will have an Allagash lager, we will have an Allagash hazy IPA, and we will have a new variety pack. And the variety pack will actually have triple and 12-ounce cans for the first time ever. So that's pretty cool. And we are also, I think, definitely going to bring it down to this market. We have hot water, which is just seltzer with caffeine. It's really cool. There's two. I think it's in hot water. But hot water is very cool. So I'm excited about the lager versus doing it from AZIA and a variety pack. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything? There's no fruit. The fruitiness, like you're getting like stone fruit, currant, like that type of thing, all from the Belgian strains.
Yeah, gotta get like a little all over the one that is that what you said it was like letting like a tank to like air out.
Which one? So the cool ship here was the third one you guys tried. The cool ship was there.
The Lambic.
It's cool ship or soda.
Oh, the cool ship. It's the Lambic.
Oh, the style is Lambic style.
But what's the second word?
So Lambic is a blended Gueuze. Correct. So there's Gueuze and there's Gueuze. There's two different. Correct. Yeah. They're very different. Very different. One is a German style salted wheat beer, and one is a stout.
I think that one's in cans.
Correct. It's extremely hard to make. It comes directly from Belgian traditions. So many brewers don't know how to do it. They don't even imagine we do it. As I was saying, it's a minimum 3 years to produce that. Correct. So it's like you're investing all that time, all that patience, and then you're blending all those bottles together. Exactly. Not many people are doing it, not many people are doing it, especially in I would say our wild and barrel aged program is like the most distinctive and unique thing about our brewery, which is really funny because we also have an award-winning white beer that's kind of everywhere and like their wines. They're very street, yeah, very street. I get into a lot of like wine bars and like natural wine bars and like things like that with like the standards that we do because they are very close in production to those things. And those people really understand the flavors profiles and kind of the labor and love that goes into those beers. Questions? Concerns? Right? Do you guys, have I converted some of you over here to sour drinkers? I said, have I converted some of you guys over here to be sour drinkers?
I love sour.
Okay, and you like sour.
I love sour.
Okay, great. A large part of like what I do is just educating people on the fact that Allagash makes all their beers that are I think most of those beers are very high quality and really great, and you guys have gotten to taste, I would say, some of the rarest beers that we produce. So yes, so you know how like people think heavy topper is called heavy topper and they don't know that a brewery probably Alchemist makes it, or the same thing with the Russian Imperial Stout, like Old Rasputin, they think that beer is called Old Rasputin. It's very simple. Like when people say, I want an Allagash, it's known and synonymous that they're asking for an Allagash. But that's the way they want it, and that's the way we like it. We want our name to be synonymous with the best beer. I would say it's funny because I talk to a lot of people who try to get them to switch over to Allagash White. And I would say, again, I won't be mentioning the large macro brand that a lot of people have, but I would say 100%, 10 out of 10 bars or restaurants that put on white. And when a customer asks for another Belgian beer of any kind, anything in the style, they say, oh, we don't have that, but we have Allagash White. 0% of the people ever dislike. So it's just a matter of education and letting people know that there are other beers out there that are better and a better representation of that. I love more than anything doing a side-by-side tasting with a macro Belgian produced beer and an Allagash White. It's really mind-blowing how much better it is.
And now that's for Allagash White.
Correct. It's just because they don't know anything else. They don't know anything else. So somebody, correct. But so somebody introduces them to that, they're forever changed. Yeah, I try to spread the good word. I also don't know if I mentioned that we are a B Corp. Does anybody know a B Corp company? Yeah. So B Corp is a certification that you can attain as a company that is performed by a third party, and it's basically testing you on your level of sustainability. So I think for 4 years we've been in now, the normal company score is an 80, and the great score for a company is an 80. Allagash last year scored 100. So we are going like above and beyond to employ systems at the brewery and spreading the information to other people as well as to how they can be more sustainable as a company, which I think is really cool. So the sours originate, sour beers, Lambic Gueuze beers originate in Belgium. It's something that Belgian producers have always done. The largest, most popular one from Belgium is called Canteen. I don't know if you've heard of it. Canteen. So basically, it was these families of people. Again, happy families who would hand the brewery down, the brewery down, the brewery down. These are things that years and years and years today. So it would be these single family owned producers. And what they would do is they would sour beers and they would let them sit. So most of these Belgian breweries have these giant barrels, and it was closer to wine production. They would go through and pull the can out, take each individual barrel, and decide which one to serve. So there are three different beers. There's Gueuze, there's just the sour beer that's really young. And you can get that anywhere, and it tastes very different from the Lambic, which is a 1.3 or the lighter. So it's just the level of how sour it gets and then blending into the kind of flavor that you're looking for. But it was a very prestigious thing in Belgium, not many people did it, actually I think it passed generationally, so that originated in Belgium. The way sours are commonly produced in the United States though is a cheaper, faster way to produce sour. So what a lot of people do is what's called kettle sours. It's very different from aging on a cool ship or aging on a barrel. Kettle sours. You take the beer that you want ferment, and at this point it's just beer, whatever Pilsner malt. You take a handful of that dry grain and you throw it into the beer. So what's on that dry grain is bacteria, acetobacter, and all the things that you're trying to keep out of a normal beer. It's bacteria. So you let that sit and incubate in the beer at 100 degrees for however long you want. You keep tasting it. It's going to get more sour. The whole thing.
So you're ready.
Once it gets the sour you want, then you essentially, and that's why I say this as a joke. A lot of sours in the U.S., craft sours, I call dirty hot dog. To me, they taste like dirty hot dog. And very, very different than these barrel-aged wines. They have almost a type taste to it. It's a very artificial sour. Not a very natural sour, not a very So usually when you're tart, that's kind of, again, why I say it tastes like dirty hot dog water. It's a kettle sour. It's not this very fruity, floral, these are, it's fun. I like hearing when people say sours because to me these are very subtle. These are really delicate. Again, compared to a kettle sour that's really trying to get sour across is the only thing. And then they dump a bunch of fruit in it. That's what we do in the US. They do that, quick souring method, it's really sour, and they dump a bunch of very fruit into it. And that's what people are after these days. Because then the bowl looks pink or purple or blue or whatever color fruit is on it. But those are produced very quickly. They don't cost a lot of money or time, and they're not an art or a craft. They're a quick way to get to it. It's very different from this beautiful barrel-aged stuff. You're welcome. All right, if anybody doesn't have any other questions, I'm going to be done now. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all coming and sharing with me. Allagash, thank you.
Nice big hand for Liz. Liz from Portland, all these beers are great, and go out to your local places and ask for Allagash. Why don't you have Allagash white? At least have it white.
Yes,
No more blue.
Have you ever enough points?
Allagash white. There's a lot of openings up here for your tasting, and I want to thank you all for coming. It's a great 2024. We're not going to have a meeting in December because everyone has holidays and we have stuff going on. And we'll meet back up in January. I don't know who we're going to have, but we'll find somebody.
This place looks familiar, but
yeah, I'm sure it's a beverage island. Yeah, sure. I don't know what they have there, but check the dates. check the dates. Yeah. All right, thank you so much for coming to Beer Club, and we'll see you in January. Happy holiday.
That's